Please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. They looked at me like I was dirt. Not just the lawyers or the opposing side, but even the judge. My voice shook, my hands trembled as I clutched the one thing I had left from my mother, a necklace with a tiny, heart-shaped locket. It had never left my neck, not once. And in that courtroom, in front of people who thought I was nothing but a bitter, vengeful liar, that necklace was the only truth I had. They laughed. They whispered. They didn't know what I knew. They didn't know what was inside that necklace. And when I finally unclasped it and laid its secret bare, everything changed. Everything. I sat in courtroom 9B with my back ramrod straight, even though my soul was crumbling by the minute. It was hard enough walking into this trial knowing I had to go against my stepfather, a man everyone else saw as a saint. The community called him generous. The church called him a blessing. But I knew better. The lawyers painted me as an angry stepdaughter, resentful after being cut off when my mother died. He took her in, raised her as his own, the prosecutor said, his voice oily with fake sympathy. And this is how she thanks him. Fabricated stories. False accusations. For what? Money. I clenched the edge of the witness stand. I'm not here for money. I'm here because what he did to me was real. The courtroom grew cold with silence. Then came the laughter. Soft. Disbelieving. From the gallery. From his side of the family. Even his lawyer chuckled as if I were a punchline. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But most of all, I wanted someone, anyone, to believe me. But instead, the judge leaned forward with narrowed eyes. Miss Daniels, do you have any evidence to back these claims? My throat was dry. I looked around the room. No one on my side. No one except my little brother, Marcus, seated quietly in the second row, his fists clenched, eyes burning with silent rage. And the necklace. Always, the necklace. It had been passed down from my mom, on the night she died. It's yours now, she had whispered. Keep it close. One day, it might be the only voice left that tells the truth. I didn't know what she meant. Not then. But as the judge called for a recess, and I walked back to my seat with the weight of humiliation crawling up my back, I remembered something. The locket clicked when I held it. But I had never opened it. Not once. Was that something inside? Back at my bench, I reached up and unclasped it with shaky hands. And what I found inside was going to destroy everything they thought they knew. I stared at the locket in my hand, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. My fingers trembled as I slid a fingernail along the tiny groove on the side of the gold heart. It popped open with a soft click, like it had been waiting all this time for this very moment. Inside wasn't a photo like I expected. It was a tiny memory card. A micro SD. I froze. It took my brain a few seconds to register what I was holding, and even longer to remember the old voice recorder my mom kept hidden in the sewing drawer. The one I thought was broken. The one she refused to throw away. Something twisted in my gut. She left this for me. She knew. My palms were sweaty as I rushed out of the courtroom during the break. I barely made it into the hallway before I pulled out my phone. I slid the memory card into the adapter I kept for photography, never imagining it would be used for this. The screen lit up. One file. Dated just 5 days before she died. It was labeled simply, "If anything happens to me." My chest tightened. I pressed play. Her voice filled my ears, weak but clear. "Mom, if you're hearing this, then I didn't make it. And if Frank has taken you to court like I feared, then you need to show them the truth." My hands went to my mouth. I stayed silent for too long. I thought protecting him was protecting you. But I was wrong. I found what he did to you, Lily. I saw the photos. The hidden camera footage. I wanted to confront him, but I was scared. I gasped, choking on the air. I backed up the proof. I hid copies in the attic under the cedar floorboard and gave this to you, in case he tried to silence you like he did me. The audio ended with her sobbing. My mother. Her last act on this earth wasn't fear, it was defiance. I couldn't cry. Not yet. Not here. Instead, I stood tall, breathing in slowly. The judge had asked for evidence. He was about to get it. "Your Honor," I said as I stepped forward, my voice clear and louder than before, "I'd like to submit new evidence." The defense lawyer scoffed. "Your Honor, we've had no prior notice of." "I received this just minutes ago," I cut in. "It was hidden inside a necklace left to me by my mother. The same necklace I've worn every day of this trial. The same necklace I was wearing the day she died." The judge looked skeptical, until I played the audio. The courtroom went silent. Mom's voice echoed off the walls, haunting and undeniable. Every word was like a hammer striking stone. The gasps started halfway through. By the end, Frank's face was drained of all color. His lawyer sank into his chair like a man who knew it was over. Even the judge sat still for a long time before speaking. His voice was low, reverent, like someone had just seen a ghost. "Miss Daniels, we'll call for a recess. Effective immediately. The court will reconvene after the audio is authenticated and the location mentioned is searched by law enforcement." But I already knew. They'd find it. Just like Mom said. I turned slowly. My eyes locked with Frank's. For the first time, he looked small. He looked afraid. And I wasn't the scared girl in the shadows anymore. The officers moved quickly. By the time court reconvened the next morning, the search team had already been to my mother's old house. The cedar floorboard in the attic, just like she said, was loose, and underneath it, a flash drive. Multiple files. Photos. Videos. Dates. Names. Everything she had feared, documented, dated, time-stamped. The judge hadn't even sat down before the prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, we've reviewed the contents. The footage not only corroborates the plaintiff's testimony, but it also reveals a disturbing pattern of abuse and intimidation by the defendant. This evidence changes everything." Frank looked like he wanted to disappear. I sat silently, staring at him, not with hatred. Not anymore. With pity. Because for all his power, all his manipulation, he never expected me to survive him. The court called a private chamber meeting. I waited. My hands were cold. My nerves buzzed. When they finally called me back in, the judge's voice was solemn. "Miss Daniels, the court owes you an apology. What you endured, what you've proven with this evidence, is beyond what any woman should face. The court is filing a motion to not only dismiss the defendant's case against you but to open a criminal investigation against Mr. Frank T. Coleman for obstruction, defamation, and possible assault." Frank's mouth opened, then closed. He shook his head, the mask slipping. But no one listened to him anymore. He'd lost his power. He'd lost everything. 2 months later, the story had gone public. Not by me, I didn't speak to the press. But the audio leaked. The photos. People whispered about the woman with the necklace. They didn't know her name. But I did. Her name was Esther Daniels. My mother. And her final gift was the truth. Frank was indicted. I dropped the civil suit. I didn't need the money. What I needed was peace. One evening, I stood by her grave, the wind blowing through the trees. I wore the necklace, but this time, not with heaviness. With honor. "I did it, Mama," I whispered. "You saved me, and I finished what you started." And for the first time since she died, I felt like she was standing right beside me. Smiling.